Remember when Linnea Quigley danced naked on top of a tombstone while the dead people in the whole cemetery were creeping up out of the graves getting ready to party? Of course you know to what I refer. I refer to Return of the Living Dead, the standard by which all zombie comedies are judged. And our first feature tonight on MonsterVision, the show that never overestimates the taste of the American public. After that, we have Jaws 2, the one we like to call Jaws the 13th, because it's where the fish starts chomping oversexed teenagers. I'm Bob Briggs. You're going to need me tonight as your personal tour guide through the death-filled world of MonsterVision.
See MonsterVision host Bob Briggs next on TNT.
You know, now that I'm a country music singing celebrity, you've probably seen my music video. It plays here on MonsterVision. I thought it was about time to install a modern stereo system in my metallic blue 73 Tornado. And so I went down to Radio Shack and I bought 4 of the biggest Tune Master speakers they had. And the only thing I don't like about them is how nobody can get in the car except me, because they take up the whole back seat and part of the front seat. But I swear if I ever told that sucker, God's going to hear some Chuck Berry while he's hauling me up to heaven, you know? I'm Bob Briggs, and tonight we got one of the greatest face-eating gut spewers of all time, one of the top 10 cult hits of the 80s, Return of the Living Dead. And joining us to discuss her role as the punk rocker who dances naked in the graveyard is the Scream Queen herself, Linnea Quigley. She'll be here with us. So, and we'll top that off with the teen slasher of shark movies, Jaws 2. You know, I had to pay for my stereo on the 7-year installment plan, but listen here to what I got, though. Tweeters, woofers, subwoofers, reverse tweeters, bleeders, screamers, moaners, and here's the best part. Optional permanent eardrum damage knob. Now, I told them to stick everything on there, including a bunch of knobs and lights that I could play around with like I know what they're for. And I had to get a new hydraulic suspension system just to get the Tornado moving. But the first day of my new stereo, I hauled it down to the main street of Grapevine. I pulled up at this stoplight where there were 7 other cars waiting. I hit the interplanetary metal button. And I'm sorry, I didn't really mean for anything to happen, but 3 people got Van Halen to death. So then I kind of moseyed on down the avenue there. I pulled up next to a couple of goat ranchers from over in Decatur. I rolled up the windows so we wouldn't have any more meaningless death out there, and I pressed the button marked Madonna Foo. And later on, I interviewed those guys in the hospital. They said it was a feeling exactly like being kicked in the throat with a set of cheerleader booties. Next thing I figured, what the hey, I might as well give it a try, so I headed down to Houston Intercontinental Airport, right? I parked the Tornado out on the tarmac so there'd be plenty of 747 jumbo jet noise, right? Then I set the automatic Dolby wah-wah fader defeat device to go off in exactly 6 minutes. Then I started running, because I knew as soon as it got down to 0, the pin would give out. The thing would automatically depress nuclear Wayne Newton. Whoa. Guess y'all heard what happened, didn't you? The only thing that bothers me about it is when 3 terrorist groups in Beirut, Lebanon called up claiming responsibility, you know? But speaking of singing zombies, Return of the Living Dead deserves serious consideration as one of the finest zombie exploding head comedies of all time. What we got here is a bunch of corpses that the U.S. Army decides to stick in pressurized Spam canisters, perfectly preserving them like giant star-kissed tunas on Quaaludes. But a bunch of guys in the mailroom get the cadavers confused with some sea rations and ship the human Spam specimens off to a medical supply warehouse in Louisville, Kentucky. And before you know it, the canisters spring a leak. And what do we got? If you've ever been to Louisville, Kentucky, you know what we got. Brain-eating zombies walking around downtown going, you got 20 cents for a blood transfusion? So let's do those drive-in totals we have. 19 dead bodies, plus some fragments. 10 breasts, shame on you TNT censors for taking those out. 2 zombie breasts, 125 zombies, mummy dogs, 1/2 zombie dog, 10 gallons of blood, brain-eating, gratuitous embalming, naked punk rocker fondue, gratuitous midget zombie, torso S&M, 1 motor vehicle chase, totaled by zombies, heads roll, brains roll, arms roll, and hands roll. We're talking 4 stars. Check it out. And don't forget, Linnea Quigley is coming by to chat with us. Best stereo system I ever saw. Has MHZs, KHZs, VDs, AUXs. Well, mine's got something I never even saw on a stereo before. The habanero pepper knob. You don't want to use that knob too much, but hey, if you ever need it, it's there. You know, I always just enjoy so much reading the viewer mail, especially the hate mail. makes me feel humble as a person. Of course, I'm not as likely to read that on the air. So if you want me to read your mail on the air, try sucking up to me. That works better. And send copies to the bigwigs over at the network. Send your letters care of MonsterVision at 1010 Techwood Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318. Emails go to monstervision@turner.com or visit the MonsterVision website. You can do it from there. But don't send the high sheriffs the negative comments because they're just not used to it like I am. They tend to overreact a little bit.
Visit the MonsterVision website at tnt.turner.com/MonsterVision. Back to MonsterVision host Joe Bob Briggs and Return of the Living Dead on TNT.
All right, only 19 minutes into this baby, and I'm already in a better mood than I've been in months. I love this movie. I think it's got the perfect mixture of comedy and reality. It was written and directed by Dan O'Bannon, the guy who wrote Alien, and it was originally supposed to be directed by Tobe Hooper, who is best known, of course, for the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Poltergeist. And actually, I'm going to back up and tell you a little bit more about this movie. Night of the Living Dead, the original, the famous one, came out in 1968. And that was made by a couple of guys in the advertising business in Pittsburgh, George Romero, the director, and his writing partner, John Russo. So after it became the most successful independent horror film in history, Romero and Russo started fussing with each other over who had the rights, you know. And so what they settled on, this is really weird, but Russo got the rights to the script and to the words Living Dead. But Romero got the rights to the word dead used by itself. Are you following this? Only lawyers could come up with this. That's why George Romero's sequels are not Living Dead movies, they're dead movies. Dawn of the Dead and Day of the Dead, not to be confused with Sam Raimi's Evil Dead series. And I wonder if Sam owns the rights to the words Evil Dead. I wonder what his lawyer says. So anyway, Russo, the forgotten partner in the series, he ends up owning Living Dead. So he writes up this story, the one we're watching. He wrote this in the early 70s. Then in the late 70s, he sells the story to a Chicago stockbroker. Are you following me? The Chicago stockbroker hires Dan O'Bannon to write a new script and Tobe Hooper to direct it. Tobe drops out. Dan takes over as director. They make the movie. The people who own Romero's Dead movies sue him anyway to prevent its release, saying it'll be confused with Romero's films. They fight about it. They settle it. It comes out a year late. End of story. I'll shut up now because we got the scene that almost single-handedly made Linnea Quigley a big star and seriously contributed to her being the scream queen that she is today. And Linnea, are you here?
Yeah. Yes, I'm here, Joe Bob.
Okay. Does this scene embarrass you, the one we're going to watch?
It depends who sees it.
Well, we're all going to see it now, honey. Okay, go. And, you know, when Day of the Dead did finally come out, the third in Romero's series, some people said the reason that that movie flopped at the box office is that this movie, Return of the Living Dead, came out first, you know, ruining zombie movies forever. Because after you've seen these cadavers, it's kind of hard to take the original one seriously anymore. So somehow in the early 80s, zombie America had changed, as you'll see right now, when our guest, Linnea Quigley, as the punk rocker Trash, writhes bodaciously on a tombstone.
What would you do for a MonsterVision t-shirt? Never mind, don't tell me. I've already seen some of your propositions. Well, I'll make it easy for you. Try to win one through our MonsterVision caption contest. All you have to do is make the six-headed jury laugh. To try, just go to tnt.turner.com/MonsterVision. Go on, try it. And when you get your t-shirt, take a picture of yourself in it and send it to me. I'll put it where I put all my fan mail. And wouldn't you like to know where that is?
Play the Monster Caption Contest and win a free t-shirt at tnt.turner.com/MonsterVision. Back to MonsterVision host Joe Bob Briggs and Return of the Living Dead on TNT.
All right, that was the lovely Linnea Quigley rising to Scream Queen immortality by dancing naked on a tombstone, or as naked as we're allowed to show you here on TNT. And here with us tonight is the #1 Scream Queen in the world, a gal who's made almost 60 movies, the star of that scene, Linnea Quigley herself, you know?
Wow,
a lot of people remember that scene, and you must get asked about that all the time, right?
Oh, yes. And when I tell them I'm the one that was on the tombstone naked, they're just like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
Well, you know, TNT may have excised a little breastage there, but I got to give credit where it's due, because they did leave in excellent pickaxe to the twitching brain. They left that in the TNT version, you know, followed by another of my favorite scenes, the rabid weasels scene, in which the disembodied cadaver arm attacks the mortician played by Don Calfa. He's such the voice of reason, isn't he? You know, you can't burn the weasels alive. It's too cruel. Let's take them out into the parking lot and shoot them. So I don't know when the last time you saw this movie was, but did you catch the allusion to Ernie and Bert that they make?
Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, they do. Okay.
One's Bert and one's Ernie.
Yeah,
And,
which is very Sesame Street.
right.
Yes.
In this movie. Okay. You seem so demure, right? Can I use that word,
Yes,
demure?
you can use that word.
And every time I see you in the movies, you're some kind of man-killing, demon-possessed punk goddess. You're stereotyped as a man-killing, demon-possessed punk goddess, right?
Yes, I am stereotypically a demon-possessed punk goddess, but, you know, that's my evil twin that's really doing that.
Yeah, well, for the people that aren't familiar with your career, your first film is one of my favorites. It's another one where you're topless. You know what film I'm talking about? Your very
Start
first
with an
film.
F?
Yes.
Yes, I remember. Oh, my God, I was so scared on that. Yes.
Fairy tales.
You like that film?
Fairy tales. I love fairy tales.
Oh, my
yeah.
God. Do you have the
Yeah, it's
soundtrack
like
and everything?
Oh, yeah, it's like the the only exploitation fairy tale film. And you
Yeah.
play Snow White, right? Is it Snow
Very
White?
close, Sleeping Beauty.
Sleeping Beauty. Okay,
It was my
sorry. Well,
first
you know,
part.
I
I
was
was sleeping.
distracted because it's the only you're naked in that film. And
Oh,
that's-
yes. Yes.
And that was in your pre-victim days, though. It wasn't long before you were getting decapitated and stabbed and prodded and attacked by a demon-possessed showerhead. What was that movie where you were attacked by the demon-possessed showerhead?
Oh, boy. I can't remember the names of them. It was, Witch Trap. That was it.
Witch Trap. That's right. Okay. What have they asked you to do that you won't do?
Oh, I don't like to have, like, mucus in my nose coming down, things like that.
Well, nobody likes that.
Yeah, but, you know, now that I'm, like, you know, being a real actress, I can, you know, maybe handle that.
So when was the last time they asked you to oil up for a role?
Oil up? Wait a
Well,
minute.
you know, full special effects makeup.
Oh, God, it's been a while. 'Cause
Okay, so you don't do that.
I don't, you know, I mean, I don't really like to do that.
You tell me, you were just in a big budget movie like last week.
Yesterday.
Yesterday?
Yesterday, actually.
What?
Yeah. Played to the Bone, where I got to play a OD hooker.
With Woody Harrelson.
Woody Harrelson and Antonio Banderas.
That's great.
So that was fun.
Okay, well, before we get too sidetracked, we better get back to the flick. And see, well, no, you stay here. We're going to talk to you at the next breaks. But I just wanted to see. I noticed that Ernie and Bert reference because I study these movies carefully for literary allusions. I'm not just looking at the scene where you dance naked on the tombstone. You know, some filmmakers make allusions to Hitchcock, Billy Wilder, Jane Austen, Shakespeare. Not Dan O'Bannon. Dan alludes to Sesame Street because the man knows his audience. So I don't mean to offend you because
But, no, but
you're the
they're
queen
the
of
ones
these movies.
paying the money.
That's
so,
right.
You know.
Hi, I'm Rusty, the MonsterVision mail girl. It's not an easy job, especially when Joe Bob says something really annoying, and I have to deliver 20 times as many letters from MonsterVision viewers. But don't worry, I work out 5 times a week to make sure I can handle anything you want to send my way. Come visit me at MonsterVision website, tnt.turner.com/MonsterVision, and I'll show you what I mean.
See Rusty deliver the MonsterVision fan mail to Joe Bob Briggs every Saturday night on TNT. Back to MonsterVision host Joe Bob Briggs and Return of the Living Dead on TNT.
Frankly, Bert, I think you acted precipitously in cutting up the corpse. Ernie has all the best lines in the movie, doesn't he? Well, we've got the gal with the best something else here with us, Linnea Quigley. And Linnea, there's another B-movie star in the cast with you, Jewel Shepard.
Yes.
Jewel is the one with the bad pompadour, which does not do her justice, really, because she's very beautiful. But she wrote a book where she interviewed you, right?
Yes. Invasion of the Bee Girls.
Invasion of the Bee Girls, where she listed all of the great horror film actresses of the 80s, and you were one of them. And you worked with Jewel a lot, right?
Oh, yeah, we met before that, like doing like different posters for movies before they were sold in the old days, you know, where they would like, you know, get a bunch of girls together and, you know, bikinis and things and sell the movie on that.
That's not the old days. They still do that.
Oh, okay.
All right, you guys are kind of dressed like punk rockers in this flick, and in several of your movies they cast you that way. But what some people don't know is that you were a punk rocker, right?
Yes.
With a band in L.A.
Mm-hmm.
What was your band?
It was called The Skirts, which
Yeah?
was
Were
all
you
girl.
good?
I thought so. I thought we were really good.
Did you sing or play bass, or what did you do?
I played guitar and I sang.
And you played like just around L.A., or?
We played
Took
like
it on the
different.
road?
Yeah, we played different places besides L.A. You know, Palm Springs and different places.
You
like
were
that.
really bad girls?
Well, not really. I mean, we get scared when the germs would come in and, you know, like try to trash everything, and but we pretended to be bad.
The band.
Yeah, the germs. Remember the germs?
Okay. But that was before you became a scream queen. And now when people hire you to be a scream queen, what is it they're looking for? Obviously, you're beautiful, but what's the secret to being a good victim hero? Because you're always a victim and a hero, right? You get picked on, then you pick back. So
Yeah.
what do you have to do?
When you start out, you're always the victim, so you die fairly soon, and you have to be able to die well, scream well, run well, and then you become the one that gets to beat them up, so you get to like live through the movie, and you just have to, kick ass.
Mm-hmm. And you have to be able to wear that special effects makeup and still look good, right?
Oh, no, you can never look good in that.
Yes. You look good in that, Linnea.
Ah.
You ever get tired of being a scream queen, though?
No, I like it.
Yeah?
I like it, because as a kid, I liked to watch the movies where the women would be the strong ones beating up monsters, or they'd be running from them. I like that whole thing.
Well, I think this flick is one of your best flicks, and we're going to get back to it now. And, Jewel wrote another book, I should mention this, her memoirs. It's called If I'm So Famous, How Come Nobody's Ever Heard of Me, which is one of the greatest titles. I can actually relate to that, because you're that guy. You know what I say? You know what I say when people say to me, I say, yes, I am. I am that guy. I think of it as a compliment. It's better to be that guy than to be what they used to call me, which was, you look like that guy.
Coming up, feel the bite of Jaws 2 next. And tomorrow night, see the most terrifying Frankenstein movie ever. Watch Kenneth Branagh and Robert De Niro in Mary Shelley's Frankenstein at 8 on TNT. Back to MonsterVision host Joe Bob Briggs and Return of the Living Dead on TNT.
And so Linnea Quigley realizes her fantasy of sex and death as she is devoured by old man zombies. Linnea, thank you so much for stopping by. Now, I never did ask you to do one thing. You have to scream for us.
Okay.
Yeah? Will you do it?
Yes, I will.
I didn't think you'd do it.
Yeah, of course I'm going to do it for you. Okay, ready? Plug your ears.
Man, that's why you get the big bucks. I'm telling you. What's your website?
www.rundlevision.com.
Rundlevision? R-U-N-D-L-E Vision?
Yeah.
.com?
.com.
That's your website? It's a great website.
Yeah.
Thanks for being with us, Linnea. Come back. for your
Okay,
next
I
movie.
will. See you later.
All right, honey.
Okay, bye-bye.
All right. I should point out that in that scene we just watched, that's Tom Matthews as Freddy, who's now very upset that he's turning into the living dead. You may remember him as Tommy from Friday the 13th Part 6. He was also in Return of the Living Dead Part 2 as a different character, which is a whole other story. This movie here is definitely his tour de force, though. And while the zombies party down, this would be a good time to open up some viewer mail in what we call Joe Bob's Advice to the Hopeless. And here to help us out is the lively TNT mail girl, Rusty. Hi, Rusty. Linnea was looking pretty good tonight, wasn't she?
She's okay.
All right. Well, I detect a little jealousy or something.
Oh, please. I'm just a little thrown because I was going to do that zombie walk, and then this movie doesn't even have that kind of zombie in it, does it?
No. You mean the ones that lurch around? Those are the George Romero zombies. Yeah. But do it anyway, though. I mean, I would love to see you, especially in that outfit. It'll be cute. Come on.
No.
Why not?
The moment is past.
Well, you should have done it when you came out. You should have gone with that.
I know.
Now you're self-conscious about it.
Yes.
Okay. Does the wardrobe department ever make you self-conscious? Because...
Why don't you read a letter?
All right.
This is from Jonathan B. Thornton of Montgomery, Alabama.
All right. A big letter. Okay. With goodies. Dear Mr. Briggs, I really enjoy watching your show and catch it every chance I get. I especially like it when you show movies such as Night of the Living Dead and any other Living Dead movie, which brings me to my next point. I am an aspiring makeup artist trying to get as much experience and exposure as possible. Enclosed are some photos of my work. What you see is just a small sample of what I'm capable of. If it wouldn't be too much of an inconvenience, the next time you show one of those movies while hosting MonsterVision, I would like to make you up as a living dead zombie. If this idea sounds like something you and or your producer would be interested in, please contact me. Thank you for your time, and keep running those living dead movies. Sincerely, Jonathan B. Thornton, Montgomery, Alabama. Okay, Jonathan, I love to see people with a goal in life, and a lot of great artists have come out of Montgomery. So can we get a shot of these? Oh, boy. Okay, can we look at these? You know, this is some serious zombie makeup that Jonathan is doing basically in the privacy of his home, and I'm telling you, oh, there's one of these that I don't think we can show on basic cable, much less on TNT. Looks like a dismembered member. Its membership was severed. I hope this is fake, Jonathan. Okay, very cool work, man, but I'll pass on that makeup job, though, because I can't stand icky stuff on my face. They had me in makeup 6 hours for The Stand, just so I could die realistically.
You were in The Stand?
Yes.
You had the full killer flu makeup?
Yes.
Why don't I remember that?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, I've watched The Stand twice. I don't remember you in it.
Thank you very much. I'm in it. I'm in The Stand.
You know, I'll have to watch it again.
Well, don't do me any favors, you know? Do you see me in The Stand? Notice anybody in The Stand? You know, there are a couple of you out there who followed me throughout my career. I know that because I see you lurking around in the bushes outside my bedroom. So you may know about the Find That Flick contest I used to run in the newspaper. Well, we've added it to the MonsterVision website, and I could waste your time explaining all the details of it, but just check it out. Test your horror flick knowledge and win a cheesy prize. Go to TNT.com/MonsterVision and look for Find That Flick. And stop following me throughout my career. You're really starting to get on my nerves, okay?
Visit the MonsterVision website at TNT.Turner.com/MonsterVision. Back to MonsterVision host Joe Bob Briggs and Return of the Living Dead on TNT.
Well, it's pretty much zombie ramen now, isn't it? Send more paramedics. How about the blood pooling up in Freddy's back? Nice touch, huh? The special effects on this were done by Fantasy 2 Film Effects, the same company that did both Terminator movies. They did Boxing Helena, which is pretty sick in the FX department, you know. Dracula, some pretty big movies. This flick was made for only $4 million. Most of it spent on special zombie effects. Another excellent example coming up right now, so let's roll it. Boxing Helena. Boy, I hadn't thought of that in a while. Where Julian Sands surgically removes all of Sherilyn Fenn's limbs one at a time. Written and directed by Jennifer Lynch, the offspring of David Lynch. So, of course, can you imagine growing up in that household? You know, happy 7th birthday, Jenny. Here's an easy bake oven and a dead bird. Let's see what you can make. All right, if you're going to write into us here at MonsterVision and share your gripes, your opinions, whatever, and you're a woman under 140 pounds, single, and you don't have any strong opinions about any of the most common vices that men have, then I want you to use my home address because it's quicker. So just send those letters. What? I cleared this. I can do this. I'm telling you, we had a 3-hour meeting about this. It's not an attempt to get nookie on TV. Well, you don't have to use that word. Look. All right, look, I might have to get back to you later. But meanwhile, just keep writing to us at 1010 Techwood Drive, Atlanta, Georgia, 30318, and emailing us at monstervision@turner.com. I like Superfly. What are you saying about Superfly? Why do you use that word? What's the implication there?
Visit the MonsterVision website at TNT.Turner.com/MonsterVision. Back to MonsterVision host Joe Bob Briggs and Return of the Living Dead on TNT.
So here we have that classic dilemma of all great zombie films. What do you do when your boyfriend wants to eat your brain so that the two of you can be together for eternity? Now, Sam Raimi did a little bit of a gender reversal on that in Evil Dead when it's the girlfriend who goes zombie on us, but we're dealing with the same basic philosophical zombie dilemma. And as far as I know, it's always resolved the same way. You ram a steel spike through your significant other's skull. That's what happens. I should also mention James Karen playing Frank, the guy who's fighting off rigor mortis along with Tom Matthews as Freddy. You probably remember him from Poltergeist. He's Craig T. Nelson's boss, the dimwit who builds the tract homes on top of the corpses, and you may have seen him in a lot of things, come to think of it. He works all the time. Okay, you know what? I'm going to shut up because this movie's too good to hold up. In fact, let's run the rest of it. The sizzling conclusion to Return of the Living Dead. Why did that blonde zombie say that eating brains stops the pain? But they're not really eating the brains. They're chomping into the brains, but they're not really ingesting the brains. I would notice if they were really eating those brains. Is that more editing by TNT? Is that they're a little uptight about excessive organ consumption around here, you know? But in this case, it is organ consumption that is integral to the plot. We need it.
And now, Joe Bob's Last Call and Jaws 2 on TNT.
Goodbye, Louisville, Kentucky. As far as I know, that's one of the few films in history to use Louisville, Kentucky as an integral part of its plot, and mainly it's to blow it up at the end. Actually, Louisville, Kentucky, when you think about it, is an integral part of the plot of The Hustler. Anyway, here's my interpretation of the end of that movie. I think they're saying that when the Army nukes the place and the acid rain starts again, it's like the nuclear version of burning the zombie in the incinerator. Now, every dead thing within 100 miles is going to be hopping around like a chicken with its head cut off, including chickens with their heads cut off. So I'd hate to be in the frozen food section right now. But the guys who made the sequel didn't latch on to that idea, because Part 2 is just pretty much the same story where they find more of those zombies in the tuna cans. Okay, next week we only have time for one movie because it's one of those NBA big hoo-ha slam dunk nights. But after the game, we're showing The Gate, the kitty demon flick that stars the young Steven Dorff as the yard monster who opens a gate to hell in his backyard. I'm Joe Bob Briggs, and we got Jaws numero 2 coming up, which if you've ever been out to California and gone on the Universal Studios tour where they take you around on a little bus and show you how they made Howard the Duck and how it wasn't a real duck but a stuffed duck and he didn't really fly through the air but they hung him up by some invisible suspenders, stuff like that. Anyway, if you've ever been on that tour, then you know the highlight of the tour is when you drive through the city of Amity from Jaws, and then just when the tour bus starts over this bridge, this giant shark comes up out of the water and tries to eat you. And you think it's going to tump the bus over. But that's only because all the Iranian tourists are running over to the other side of the bus to take pictures of the giant shark to send back home to Tehran. And the only reason I'm telling you this story is because Universal Pictures has made approximately $974 billion on this fish. Even though Jaws 4, The Revenge, was so bad the fish refused to eat several of the supporting actors. And the reason this fish made so much money is not necessarily because of the first original Jaws. It had mostly to do with Jaws 2, which kept the whole sequel deal going. It takes up where the first Jaws left off with everybody dead except Roy Scheider, but Roy starts noticing that people are dying out in the Atlantic Ocean with giant teeth marks in their brains, but the city council won't believe him, and Roy starts thinking, the shark's back, and you know what? The shark's got a disguise. Next thing you know, Roy's making him up some cyanide bullets, and you know what's next. Boom, 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 boom. Tooth City. Let's get it going. We'll do the drive-in totals at the first break. Roll it. Richard Dreyfuss, he wasn't really dead at the end of the first movie, was he?
No.
So I don't know why they weren't able to bring back Roy. They were able to bring back Roy Scheider, but not Richard Dreyfuss. Because what other movie did he make in order to avoid the horrors of Jaws 2? Anybody know? You know what it was, I think? The Big Fix. That movie about Berkeley politics. No, you know what it was? Victory at Entebbe. With Richard Dreyfuss as Colonel Netanyahu. Right? He played Netanyahu years ago. Well, they're both nervous types, aren't they? Makes sense.